Okay, welcome. Well, oh, my camera's not on. Welcome, everyone. You know what? Actually, this side is probably more helpful. Welcome, everyone, and hopefully you're having a decent Wednesday. I almost said it's Wednesday. This is the sort of day I'm having. Yeah, I hope you're having as good a Monday as you can have. I don't know, I don't know everyone's work schedules, so sometimes stuff is different. Hey, Tabby. But yeah, so I am continuing to delve into cursed books. The prologue, Janice Raymond seems to consider lesbianism to be ideal for women and men being gay to be neither ideal for them nor not ideal. I believe there's a factor of inherent evil values with men and good values with women in terms of her beliefs. It's Monday, I'm awake, maybe I should be doing things. Yeah, don't let this stop you from taking care of needs, please. Just default, whatever. Anyways, she mentions repeatedly that being a lesbian is a choice, not something inherent to individuals. She doesn't seem to understand or to consider romance and sexual attraction to be a part of what it means to be a lesbian, just avoiding anyone she considers to be a man. Also seems to believe in a hierarchy where, quote-unquote, women true to themselves are the ones who avoid any social or romantic interactions with a man. Chapter 1 notes. She does, since Chapter 1 notes, doesn't seem to understand evolution. B word, she frames a passage originating from the Torah, calling it the quote-unquote Jewish Bible, then pulling swear tons of Christians swear not believed by most rabbis. She has this weird version of primary that involves so much that it's basically meaningless. There's the potential universal goddess cult aspects. Oh yeah, this lady, she's yeah. She talks about primogeniture, firstborn son stuff, which, I mean, that's true. That is true, firstborn son father's thingy, but essentially, quote unquote, real women walk their own path, similar to the phrase used amongst men. Just quote unquote, real men walk their own path, unless of course it diverts too much from societal norms in which they're criticized for not, quote unquote, not being real women or real men. I just have scientific evolutionism with the question mark. I'm skimming my notes, by the way, because I don't want to the reason I summarize notes in the first place is yeah. Where we go? Dear God, stop adding ism to everything you don't like. It's super annoying. Quote unquote, quote I think from the book, it is not co-parenting, and the inclusion of the male in equal parenting responsibilities that will restore, in parentheses, among other imbalances, the lack of female friendship, because then presumably women will be free not to hate or be ambivalent about other women. Wait, what? Because then presumably women will be free not to hate or... Yeah, that was just... some of their quotes are just weird. But more importantly, the next thing coming up, I know that Janice Raymond is against prostitution. In a similar way to Kamala Harris. Possibly even more severe, but basically similar attitudes. Oops, wrong. Yeah, I don't want to. No, I'm gonna stay over here, actually. But first, I must continue. Hey, the context French. Okay. Let's see if I can. I've got the letters. The letters to continue the this is a high performance PC. Oh, do I need to actually enter code JOLHC mom CU. Enter. Incorrect code? What? But that was JOLHC MOMC. That's the code I got. What do you mean it's the wrong code? Enter also being a Smurf? What? Who would have seen that coming? Yes. I do appreciate the sarcasm. Okay. No, wait. No, I don't wanna. Okay. Well, let me do something quick. I want to see. I need to find out if I just mistyped my code, and there's one way to find out. I can just go into the last episode, the last live short I did, with less cursed imagery, surprisingly. JOLHC JOLHCMOMCU. Yeah, this is the right quote. This is the right code. That's the access code for level 12. Is one of those a 0 or something? What's going on here? How dare they do this to me? No, they don't have 0. How dare they? How dare they? JOLHCMON. Well, I hate that. I guess I am starting over back from the beginning with this, the Lemmings part of this, but more importantly, Listen. Okay, that's a bit loud for me. There we go. We know very little of the history of loose women, or rather, we know very little about the real history of loose women. In hetero history, the loose woman is the lewd woman, the harlot, the wanton woman, the degenerate, the woman who engages in all manner of illicit intercourse. I contend that the original loose woman is a free woman, loose and free from bonds and bondage to men. The loose woman is the unattached woman, and because she resisted attachment from men, she became deprived not only of patriarchal protection, but patriarchal repute. Oh, okay. Let me... I didn't see the thing. Sorry, Taffy. Let me, sex worker and exclusionary radical feminists, like with TERF, radical feminists is questionable and then some. Yeah, it's probably a little bit lower than it needs to be. There we go. Sorry about that. In fact, many women who have not resisted attachment to men, but who are perceived as quote-unquote manless women, women who are not visibly allied to men, are labeled prostitutes. News accounts from Zimbabwe in mid-November 1983 reported that several thousand women had been arrested in military street sweeps. The government's explanation for arresting these women, most of whom were Black and poor, although the sweeps also reached out to students, nurses, industrial workers, domestic workers, and women working in ministries, was that they wanted to clean up prostitution in Zimbabwe. Radu Kanzawa, a native Zimbabwean sociologist at the university there, reported that most women were presumed to be prostitutes until proved otherwise. During the detentions, women had to produce marriage certificates in the streets. This posed problems for Black women, most of whom are married customarily. Women also need men to vouch for them and at police stations and detention centers so they could be considered non-prostitutes. Oh no. Oh no. I'm starting to see the this happened in a country which views itself in transition to socialism, and yet the socialist progressivist ethic, as far as thousands of women are concerned, is still oppressively hetero-relational. Women who cannot prove attachment to men are considered prostitutes. That's not socialism. Oh god, it's the anti-socialist attitude. It's hurting. It's hurting me inside as a socialist. Okay, one more. I don't normally do this, but this is actually bothering me. People's Revolutionary Army and African National Liberation Army. Okay, but what? Okay, this is something like genocides were occurring in Zimbabwe in the 80s, but who is in charge of? I know. Okay. Oh dear, it sounds like there wasn't even like it sounds like there were warring groups in Zimbabwe to some degree. Okay. Okay, this is the person in office. Okay, okay, it looks like those are separate groups. Presidency was a ceremonial role with no governmental power. Okay, this sounds very complicated. Okay, well, let me see if I can get. Okay, so one of them was a nationalist party and one alleged to be socialist. And the one that allegedly to be socialist I don't think is even involved in all this stuff. Okay, so far, a cursory glance, this sounds like BS. Music too loud? Is it still too loud? Because I had dampened it. This is what it's at now. I don't know if, but yeah, oops, no. Okay. So, probably incorrect information, or not fully grasping the situation information about a different country, which wouldn't be surprising. And this person doesn't even go into details about the way in which the government of Zimbabwe worked, which is different from British stuff. Anyways, sorry. The history of Luso and the history of Gen affection, and that history can be found in several places. One starting point is the etymology of the word Hitira or Hetera, which originally meant companion, often most often companion to other women and later sexual companion to men. What? I feel like there's potentially a bunch of assumptions here. The history of loose women is also related to the history of prostitution, and finally can be found in the woman-identified culture produced by Sappho and her companions on Lesbos. Wow, I clearly can't words. Kenneth Dover in Greek Homosexuality acknowledged that hetera in its earliest usage meant companion. A woman could refer to female friends of her as Myhera. Sappho in her poetry called her female students hetera, plural, close companions or friends. How the female companion to other women, the original hetera, became the prostitute or the sexual companion of men, the hetero-revisionist hetera, is the starting point for the history of loose women. Why do I get the strange impression that she just takes whatever information she likes? To be fair, socialism/communism and not a commentary on the events in Zimbabwe, which I have no education on. There's a history of figures like Lenin et al. That most of us are critical of today. Oh yeah. No, Lenin had his own issues, and a lot of early socialists and communists had not given up their ties to white nationalist conditioning or other such stuff. And I'm not... It's one of those things where it's not like you can just fix everything. Taking the stance that sex work shouldn't exist under communism and should be completely abolished. Oh, that's what Lenin said. And there's still a lot of Marxist-Leninists that take the stance that sex workers are inherently capitalist and should be ashamed for it. No, yeah, see, that's... Like, a lot of sex... look, you can do voluntary sex work and companionship. The stance is people who aren't sex workers should shut the fuck up. And, oh, sorry, I add the F. I had this swearing, I apologize. Should shut up and listen to sex workers about what empowers them. Yeah. And a lot of these points were probably truer, or a lot of the points with relation to pimps and such were truer earlier. A lot of people have taken charge of their own sex work to some degree, and it has become a lot more empowering. And even some sex work that was already going on here, there was groups of more empowered people. The problem isn't the sex work. It's the fact that people don't acknowledge bodily autonomy enough. In this hetero revision of women's history, find... Wait, I'm just... Okay. That's not paternal enough. Tabby sounds too much like bodily autonomy. Oh yeah, straight violence is being used Sorry. Straight violence being used to force anyone to provide sex for money is hell no, but right, there's a huge difference between that and individuals choosing it themselves, yeah. Oops. Yeah, in this hetero revision of women's history, we find an early lesson on how history of gay affection becomes transmogrified into the history of hetero relations. Like all historically independent and deviant female acts, woman-identified looseness came to be defined solely in hetero-relational terms. And captured by hetero-relational standards. For example, men have consistently appropriated female independence by defining it in heterosexual terms that signify either the presence of illicit heterosexuality, in parentheses prostitute whore, or the absence of approved heterosexuality, in parentheses frigid old maid. Loose women who repudiate containment by men frustrate the traditional categories of hetero reality. No music. Okay, no. There was delay. The only way of bringing such women back into the fold of hetero reality is to assign heterorelational labels, in parentheses, prostitutes, lonely, or frustrated women who can't catch men. There's a number of I mean, that affects, I think, a lot more than this person grasps, but yeah. Obviously bad things are bad. Doesn't mean the solution is good either. The word hetera is associated with lesbianism. The amount of isms used in this book are just... Yeah, one reference found in Aristophanes and thought to be the first association between the two words derives heteristria from the category of original double beings who were all female. Dover emphasizes that this word clearly means homosexual relationship between two women. I kind of want to say to her, okay, lady, we get it. You were hurt by men and a world set up for white male oppression and everyone else, but your coping mechanisms suck and you should stop. Yeah, that does sound like yeah. And it, quote unquote, and it may acquire a derogatory nuance from lycostria, quote, horror. Aristophanes provides one of the earliest references documenting the change of female companion of other women, in parentheses, and or lesbian to prostitute. This book, the same transformation from female companion to prostitute is at work with the meaning of historical Sappho began with Athenian comic poets. In their work, we find Sappho's gin affection and lesbianism equated with prostitution. I mean, that's usually default for when people don't understand something. It's usually one of many whatever people think is the worst. I don't know. In 4th century BC, Athens, when these poets were writing, women had no political or economic power, no legal rights as adult persons, and no choice in marriage. The Greek Demosthenes had divided women into 3 categories. The courtesans, we keep for the sake of pleasure; concubines for our daily care of our persons; wives to bear as legitimate persons or legitimate children, and to be trusted guardians of our households. I don't know why I'm doing an accent now. That's when not gonna stop. That's when the Athenian comic poets wrote of Sappho and her companions. They were befuddled. How could they portray such loose women who encourage other like themselves to the weird capitalization of selves, trying to imply true selves? It's weird and annoying. Anyways, to live such loose and undefinable existence. Sappho did not fit into any of Demosthenes' accepted categories. As Dolores Kleitch phrases it, she hadn't been a wife, she hadn't been a slave, that left only courtesans, and accordingly, without facts, the Athenian comic poets, those who wrote what we call middle comedy, treat Sappho as a joke in their plays, portraying her as a prostitute, something she had never been. One moment. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Sappho's independent affection was transformed into the mere opposite of what it actually was. Oh, it's this one. Okay. Why is ban not easier? I don't know. It's a lot easier on YouTube, on Twitch or whatever, sorry, to ban people. I suppose this is like actually the easier way to do this. Her freewheeling, non-domestic, non-appendage life, and the fact that she had spoken openly about this lifestyle apart from the silenced Athenian woman. That is enough apart from them than cultural average to warrant ridicule. This woman who cannot be circumscribed by hetero categories, woman goes down in history as a woman ready for any kind of sexual behavior, that is a prostitute. I mean, prostitutes aren't inherently open to every kind of sexual behavior. Usually there are rules and limitations set down by the prostitute. Anyways, this perception is, at least that's what I'm pretty sure I've heard. I don't know much about it personally. I don't know, I feel the need to, whatever, words. I've had friends who worked in that industry, but like I have not, nor have I dealt with it. But so I'm very secondary or tertiary. So my opinion is that sort of thing. Not necessarily of the best value. Words are hard, which is why sometimes I use other forms of communication. Yeah. No, I really need to work on sign language more. Anyways, this perception is also in keeping with a secondary definition of prostitute in the Oxford English Dictionary, a person given over to infamous practices of any kind. The Athenian humorists held up Sappho and her companions as example of quote-unquote shameless and uninhibited sexuality, and credited them with all such genital acts as the inventive pursuit of piquant variety of pleasure can devise, including homosexual practices, together with fellation, cunnilingus, threesomes, copulation, and unusual positions, and other use of olaspoi. None of those sound bad. Why is it that conservatives always make things out to be way more interesting than they are? They have they only have imagination for the fun stuff, and they think it's bad. Anyways, the loose woman, the female companion of other women, and the lesbian were later consolidated as prostitutes in the work of Roman satirists. Writing later in the 2nd century AD, they subject Sappho and her companions to ridicule and censure outright, associating lesbians with heterosexual prostitutes. For example, in Dialogue of the Corazons, Lucian has one prostitute say to another, "We've been hearing queer things about you, Lena. They say Philippa, that millionaire lady from Lesbos, feels about you the way a man does. And that the two of you have been making love, doing Lord knows what to each other. What's this blushing? Tell me, is it true?" "Yes, but I'm so ashamed of myself, it's also unnatural." This sounds like really bad dialogue. It sounds pretty vanilla to me, but I'm not the best barometer for such things. I mean, yeah, yes, technically it's very vanilla. It's just... Look, sometimes I don't think through things real hard when I say things. Let's see here. What's this one? So close. The passage initiates, among other things, the practice of lumping lesbians with whores in an atmosphere of general debauchery. What? Okay, there we go. Anyways, to this insight, I would add this passage begins a trend that persists to this day of transforming woman-identified affection and love into heterorelational sex quote-unquote acts. We'll see the same changeover work in different ways in the labeling of other groups of women who maintain strong, again, affective ties among groups like the marriage resistors and nuns, for example. Again, affection is attributed to heterosexual deprivation or heterorelational failure when it is not turned into promiscuous heterosexuality. The roots of converting gin affection or woman-centered living to heterorelational sex ethos are found in many disparate places. maybe I'm used to like anime and manga, but like I'm used to people assuming not heterosexual things going on in nuns, nun sections, nun areas. In the winter of 1979, I traveled to Yucatan in Mexico. Oh, this is a white British person. Or no, she's not British. She's American. She's just quoted a lot by Brits. But yeah, Yucatan of Mexico. One of my destinations was the Isla Mujeres? Island of Women. Before getting researched where the name had originated, most of the guidebooks reported that the island had been named because sailors formerly kept prostitutes. The Catholic Church has a lot of skeletons in the closets regarding the treatment of nuns, sort that require a number of strong content warnings. Yes, although there's a lot of abuse there too. Wait, I can have these guys escape. I don't know why I didn't do this before. No. Didn't mean to do that. No. There we go. I don't know, I'm obsessively trying to get these guys to escape. I refuse to lose a lemming. Okay, there's a wall there. Okay. Formerly kept prostitutes there for their return after long voyages. Upon further and less superficial inspection, I learned that the Spanish called it the Isla Mujeres because they had found numerous statues of female figures there. They construed to be evidence of a goddess-worshipping culture, largely populated by women, and in which women were held in high esteem. The popular guidebooks had transformed a woman-centered milieu into an island of prostitution. Oh, that's what you meant. I was thinking, I was still thinking on the, what is that book? They made it into an anime. They made it into an anime and a manga, but it was originally a book. Written about lesbian stuff going on in a nun place. I can't remember the name of it. I definitely read the manga, which is relatively tame. Maybe it wasn't an anime even at all. But anyways, the same phenomenon is at work in David Rubin's Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex. Here he treats lesbianism and prostitution in the same chapter. Wait, aren't you technically dealing with it in the same chapter as well? Anyways. The parallel placement is self-explanatory. Rubin, however, is merely one of a long list of writers who consistently and without evidence lumped lesbians together with prostitutes. Zola, Daudet, and de Maupassant are only a few of the authors who collapsed lesbians into prostitutes and vice versa. I mean, so here's the thing. Sex work allows you to do more and be more yourself than most other types of work, historically. So, to some degree, there are correlations that were likely made because the number of people who are openly there are very few people who are openly a lesbian, but or bi or queer in any sort of way. It was more often seen with regards to sex work than following all the rules. Anyways, this equating of lesbianism with prostitution proclaims that lesbianism is one of the most degenerate vices comparable to what is regarded as the sludge of prostitution. Now, prostitution shouldn't be considered a bad thing. I know this is a shock, but that kind of also kills two birds with one stone in terms of shame, as the highest virtues for women is defined in heterorelational forms, for example marriage, so too is the lowest vices. In this equation, the evil and, in more recent times, the sickness of lesbianism cannot be adequately portrayed unless it is framed in heterosexual terms. It's not viewed as badly in most of America now, or even in Britain. Anyways, the so-called moral corruption of loose women can be gauged only by heterorelational standards. Once again, the woman identified deviant from heterorelations, the loose woman becomes known and encompassed by the very hetero relations that she is defying. Not always, or I don't know. It seems to. I get the impression from other stuff she's written that she doesn't think that there are any women who choose to be sex workers. And that's not the case. And there are men who choose to be sex workers as well. Like, it's not simple. Anyways, once again, the woman identified deviant from her, the loose one becomes hetero reductio ad absurdum. I don't know if that's where J.K. Rowling got the idea for a lot of her spells. Reading this book. Loose woman equated with lewd woman reminds us of de Beauvoir's words. He tries to get possession of the woman in her resistance. He pursues her in the very liberty through which she escapes them. I mean, that's not... Love isn't an escape from... men or women? I don't know. Oh. Well, then that was easy. Anyways, so, the reduction of lesbian and or female companion to prostitute has not been a mere literary construction. Some lesbians have been prostitutes, or some prostitutes have been lesbians, depending on how you choose to frame your sentence. This fact has not been overlooked in many histories and psychologies of prostitution. Havelock Ellis and John Addington Simons in their study Sexual Inversion. Interesting name for something. Anyways, noted the frequency of homosexual practices among prostitutes in all parts of the world. The thesis that prostitutes are lesbians in disguise has been advanced by many men who have quote-unquote studied both lesbianism and prostitution, among them Lombroso, Moll, Carlier, Martineau, and others. Harold Greenwald in The Call Girl, a social and psychoanalytic study, writes the covert reaction formation of prostitutes, a so-called defense mechanism in which there's an attempt to express in overt behavior their exaggerated opposite of their original impulse. Oh, this is more assumptions that by default everyone's like straight. Yeah, this is dumb psychology stuff. I'm not even gonna read that quote. I already know I likely disagree with it. Because it is assuming that an inherent sexual attraction. Anyways, that a specific inherent sexual attraction. Well, let me yeah. There we go. Now I can see how long I've been streaming. Anyways, lest one miss the point in this tangled psychoanalytic jargon, Greenwald means the behavior of a prostitute was acted out, and at the same time she... Wait, maybe I can just move it a little bit over here. I just realized I'm cutting off sentences. Greenwald means the behavior of a prostitute was acted out, and at the same time she's carrying on lesbian relations. What's more important, however, is that in this same kind of psychoanalytic reasoning, we find acknowledgement that... Wait, what? Okay, maybe I do need to read this. Being homosexual, they try to act heterosexuality. One tries to act the opposite in order to deny the original impulse. Because the defenses of girls were so weak and spite, they would frequently find reaction formations existed side by side with just direct expression of the impulse they were designed to suppress. No, I think he was saying the original impulse is heterosexuality. Unless I'm misunderstanding this. I don't know. I starting to suspect that this person doesn't understand what they're reading half the time. Anyways, I do not mean to hold up as authoritative sources such as Havelock Ellis, Frank Caprio, or Harold Greenwald. They're all notoriously ignorant on subjects of prostitution, lesbianism. What is instructive in the passages cited is the testimony that prostitution, seemingly the most promiscuous of heterosexual acts, is pseudo-heterosexuality and flight from lesbianism. I don't know that that's what that person was saying. Oops. No. They're all dying. Might not have enough umbrellas. Oh wait, no, I do. Probably. Maybe I did. Anyways, if prostitution is the oldest profession, then women-loving women may well be the oldest and most truly effective relationship. I I know this is a shock. So she assumes women never hire sex workers either? Apparently. But more than that, yeah, and she's... There's a lot of assumptions here, and I think a lot of misunderstandings of what's being written. Most histories of prostitution begin with the chronicling of sexual acts engaged by women that were reputedly carried out in sacred temples. These women come down to us labeled as sacred prostitutes. We know, however, that the women who inhabited the most ancient temples were sacred virgins. Only later did the phenomenon of temple prostitute arise. I maintain the sacred virgin becomes transformed into the sacred prostitute in much of the female independence, much in the same way that lesbian or female companion has been changed into prostitute, the male definition to contain female independence and heterosexualized loose women. I don't even know. This is so full of unhelpful. Yes, yeah, she has no clue about history. Yeah, oops, no. Oh wait, that was even worse. Three, two. I don't know why I'm blowing it. Oh, that didn't work at all. Okay, one more. Anthropologists have cited the prevalence of certain rituals of sacred virgins from which men and even male dogs were excluded. They have named these quote-unquote female homosexual rites. Wherever women are joined in affinity with each other, men have often felt left out and have felt compelled to invade such women's space. This is here we go. Here we go. In fact, there were direct and physically assaultive male invasions as such compel male invasions of such rights dash rapes. Under such siege, many women probably were forced into prostitution in exact opposition to their quote-unquote original impulse. What? Like, she says that being a lesbian is a choice, and she says all this weird stuff, and then she's like, implies that being a lesbian is an original impulse, which implies that it's all women are lesbians by default. And that's contradictory. Very contradictory. Is she just making assumptions here without evidence? Probably. But she's got fancy words. And she's quoting sources. So therefore that justifies everything she's saying, right? Anthropologist Fernando Henrique's work, Prostitution in Society, gives evidence of this forced prostitution in the most under the most extreme conditions. Henri, is it just Henri? Henrique speaks of the ancient Phoenicia, where quote unquote, their virgins also were presented for prostitution to the strangers who resorted there. He describes a particular barbaric account of their atrocities perpetrated against the sacred virgins of Heliopolis, where Constantine abolished the quote-unquote custom of giving over sacred virgins to prostitution. It's just they're not even appropriate fancy words, maybe. Anyways, I'm just gonna skip over the quote there. At this point, because it's just... Yeah, anyways, at this point in history, the 4th century AD, or CE, as it's generally stated now, as well as other periods in various parts of Mediterranean and as documented by Enrique, virgin was likely age reference, possibly, and virgin has had several different definitions. Sometimes... the thing I think of commonly from at least Renaissance time and some Middle Ages Renaissance time, for you stop being a virgin after you got married. I feel like that was Renaissance time or the Middle Ages, if I recall correctly. Anyways, many young women spend part of their lives acting as sacred prostitutes. These women were required to be virgins, their virginity being sacrificed as a ritual offering. If we see virginity in a more woman-defined sense of female integrity... What? Is she redefining virginity? Is she just redefining every word she uses until her sentences become... absolute word salad? I just... as a woman who is under herself, independent from men, we can understand how men would perceive such integrity as necessary to contain control. Thus, the sacred virgin becomes the sacred prostitute, who later becomes the secular prostitute. The Christianized version of the sacred virgin has been the nun. As with her sisters, the lesbian and prostitute, the nun was categorized, contained, raped, and martyred for being a loose woman. What? The currency of untouched women is Eurocentric, yeah. But also, I've never known anyone to consider a nun to be a loose woman. Usually someone... most people, I think, assume that they're just either not into dudes or sort of like the same cat lady thing. I don't think I would define it. So nuns are brides of Christ? Oh, yeah, there's that factor too. Anyways, Chapter 2 chronicles the long, proud, and sometimes ambivalent history of the nun as a loose woman. Oh, dear God. Okay, I promised. I promised something to myself, which is that I would take a break from this after I got to Chapter 2, and I did. I did get to Chapter 2. So I'm going to play Lemmings some, and just... not torture myself with this BS. I mean, I'm still going to talk about it a little, but Chapter 2. Loose nuns. She makes no sense. Yeah, she makes like almost no sense. I mean, there's like the handful of things she says that make any amount of sense, but it's very few and far between. It's just straight out not lying me. Wait, what's this? Oh, that's that. Fine, I saved one person. It's totally fine. I forgot how I beat this one. I feel like I beat this one. But yeah, it feels like it's always being like, it has this reductionist attitude towards men, and as if they're always trying to be in power and have more power, as that being an inherent aspect of what it means to be a man. And that's not that's like a lot of cultural attitudes, like specifically European attitudes especially, seems to believe are inherent, which is pretty common actually now that I think about it, for far too many white people. Anyways, I don't know, it's very frustrating. This entire book is so frustrating. And it's very much like any tiny bit of freedom that you get can be ignored the justification for. Oops, that was too soon. Yeah, it's so... It's definitely a lot of WTF. 3, 2... No. I did not do that quite right. You can see what I was trying to do, right? Or did I not beat this level? I'm like second guessing myself. Yeah, I'm trying to like it's this whole book is weird and it's so convoluted. This book is so convoluted that and simultaneously convoluted, and I feel like it doesn't tell you anything. Oh shit. Might not have gotten high enough. But yeah, I'm kind of... It's... I don't know how much is it just... I mean, some of it's just pure assumptions, and some of it is like... the tiniest sliver of like actual real stuff, but like she comes to the most incorrect conclusion possible from that. Yes, I've got a bunch of suicide bombing. Lemmings. No, I keep doing it in the wrong spot. 4, 3, 2. There we go. Oops. Darn it. No, I keep doing the... I should just do the... No, that didn't work either. Swear, I'm not trying to dig my precious livings into a hole. There we go. Okay. Oh, I screwed that up again. I swear I know how to play this game. I don't know why I'm like worried about like an ancient game, about whether or not that's like how good I do in a game that came out in like 19... I was gonna say 1990, and then I was gonna say 1900. I think 1990 might actually be accurate. No, bad timing. No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Maybe if I count. 5, 4. Up there. Nope, I got that wrong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh wait, no, that's worse. Not that. Three, 2, sure. I'm out of explosive people? Oh, I ran out of time. Okay. I swear, let's see if I can beat this level. I just want to beat this level. Okay, I'm not obsessive or anything. How dare you imply I am some sort of weird obsessive gamer. I think that'll just have to be the last of my live streams on this channel, maybe, since I'm already taking a big break. I mean, I might do something. If I find content worth reacting to, I will definitely do content for the next 3 weeks. I might not if I don't have a reaction content or something to figure out. I have a sudden desire to take the risky route. Oh. No, I didn't mean to do that way. No, there we go. I did do this one. Oops, no. Two, one, no. Oh, it only works from above. I forgot that. I know, you get to see me excitedly, and you can hear my excitement as I play Lemmings. I am actually having fun, though. Like, why can't I beat this level? Why is this level being mean to me? Why can't I just blow stuff up? Oops. Oh, oops. There we go. It's... what? not what I meant to do. There we go. Listen to my orders, my delightful lemmings. I remember I feel like I played this game as a kid in high school, or not high school, middle school maybe? Maybe elementary school? I don't know, this game is very familiar to me. I know I didn't own it. Okay. 3, 2. Three, two, one. Just a few minor casualties. Don't worry about it too much. 3, 2. I think I have the same problem as I did before. Aren't I? 1, 2. Just punch your way out. Somebody punch their way out. No, not the other way. Ha! There we go. Go and be free, my lemmings. Too many of them blew up, didn't they? Too many of them died, didn't they? No! Okay, I've beaten this before, I feel like. Either that or this is the level I was, I stopped on last. I don't know. How's everybody doing, though? I mean, outside of being aware that... being aware that Janice Raymond exists as a person. Outside of that, how's everybody doing? Oh, and wrote these books. Okay. Darn, I didn't do the balloon thing in time. 2, 1. Should get going. Have business with the bureaucracy of medical and social security institutions to tend to. Yeah, take care. Take care, Tabby. I totally get that. Those are always like a nightmare to deal with. Nope, did not mean that way. No. You know what? I'm getting frustrated. I think I'm gonna call it. Okay. I hope you... I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. I mean, do your best to take care of yourself. And just have a good time. Be nice to yourself. I say that like I don't understand what being nice to yourself means. Have a good week, all. Yeah. Have a good week.